Welcome to Date Yourself, the podcast. I'm your host, Amber, and no matter if you're married or single, I think the world would be a better place if we all dated ourselves. During this podcast, we discuss being unapologetically yourself, ditching the bullshit, and tuning into more peace by making joy a choice. Through listening to this podcast, you might create a lifelong glow up, just saying. It's time you start appreciating yourself more and date yourself. I believe that one big factor of being there for ourselves is how we take care of what shows up for us. So our emotions, when we feel like someone is crossing a boundary, or really tuning into what we need from ourselves. This podcast, this episode is me trying to give you kind of my playbook as to how I regulate my own emotions, how I create the space to listen to what I need. And so that way you can really start to understand yourself on a deeper level. So I recently had a conversation with one of my best friends, and she had a feeling about something that she kind of wanted to dissociate from. So she got why she felt it. It was the feeling of jealousy and kind of the circumstances that she felt that emotion in wasn't really reasonable. That's what she believed. And so I was explaining as to how I try to go about feeling those difficult emotions like jealousy. Jealousy is one of those emotions that we tend to label as bad, right? Because it's just an uncomfortable feeling, and we know that it might be difficult for other people as well as we show that emotion. Like, it's not their problem, but it becomes their problem. So that's also what she was struggling with. And I definitely recognize that within myself as well. I also don't like the feeling of jealousy. But I explained to her, and this is how I see regulating your own emotions. It's like if you are trying to dissociate from it, which means like you are taking a step back from it, you make it less important, or you try to label it as not important or it shouldn't be there. What you essentially are doing when you do that, and we do that with other feelings as well, right? So maybe anger is one of those emotions as well. For a lot of women, it's pretty hard to express when we're angry. Men as well, by the way. But we are taught to keep it in, to be gentle, to be kind. So it's more like the big emotions that might be difficult for other people, but are very heavy for us to feel as well. So what you're doing when you are labeling them as unimportant or just difficult, like I don't want to deal with this feeling right now, is that it's like you're pushing a ball, like a balloon, underwater. And you just keep pushing and you just keep pushing. But it's pretty hard to do that. It costs a lot of energy from us. It costs a lot of effort to try to sweep it under the rug or to keep it from us, to keep it at a distance. Because that's what we're doing. We don't want to feel it. And so what happens is that balloon, that ball is going to pop up because it's filled with air. That's just what it does, right? And then it's going to blow up in your face or in someone else's face. Or it's just gonna come out in a way that you cannot really control it anymore because you have been pushing it down so much until it just has to come up. And it will come up. It can take years. You can store these emotions in your body. There have been a lot of, for example, cancer studies that show that you can get a tumor and that is actually stress, or it's actually a traumatic event that happened, or it's just a lot of things piling up on each other and that not being acknowledged, that not being felt. And it kind of creates this sickness that asks for your attention. And I'm giving you the example of cancer, but there are a lot of other diseases that are traced back to an emotional, a traumatic event, or people just not wanting to acknowledge what is going on in their internal world. And so the body always keeps the score. The body will always remember those things because you are feeling those emotions in your body. So if you are suppressing it, where is it going? It's not going anywhere. It's still there. And I'm not saying this to scare you. That's not definitely not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make you aware of the fact that when you are pushing your feelings away, they can be difficult, they can be big, they can be, for example, the feeling of jealousy. You might have learned that that's not okay to feel. So what are you going to do with it? Of course you're going to try to suppress it. That's only normal. But what you're doing is just postponing the moment in which you are going to allow it to be there. Because if you are trying to sweep it under the rug, it will blow up in your face eventually. And it doesn't have to be that dramatic, but I think that you can recognize you having like this breakdown after thinking that you were okay for a long time, or just pretended that you were okay for a long time. Or maybe you have pretended that you were okay for a long time, and then you finally had that moment where you could sit down and allow your feelings and you allow yourself to just be. And then all the emotions and all the events that you have tried to block out of your mind and block out of your body when it comes to feeling your feelings just came rushing in. That's what I mean with the balloon like popping up or blowing up in your face, because when you are allowing it to be there, it's going to come up. The beautiful thing about this mechanism, and the reason why I don't want to scare you, and I'm not going to scare you, is because what is coming up is only coming up because it's going. Your feelings are not your enemy, and your feelings are also not who you are. They are what you are experiencing in your body. It's just like the mind is also not who we are, just like our lungs are not who we are. Our feelings are also not who we are. And so when we are trying to make it so important, those feelings, and they are important and they feel like they are really important, especially when something really heavy or scary or traumatic happens, it's super real. And I'm not trying to make that less important, but you are not your feelings. And I think that can also give you a lot of freedom if you allow that thought to just sink in. How does it feel that you are not your feelings? That means that you also have the control over them, because you are not them. So I want to tell you how I regulate my emotions. The most respectful thing you can do for yourself is just to acknowledge them. To make yourself feel seen. How good does it feel if someone else understands you or listens to you or tries to just sit with you and accept you as you are? That's a great feeling, right? That's the feeling that you can also give yourself. I'm a big fan of becoming your own best friend, because at the end of the day, it's just you that is left, right? You only have you. And yes, there are people who can support you and be there for you, but you are the one with those thoughts. You are the one with those emotions, and you have to regulate it for yourself, right? So how do you do that? You acknowledge whatever is there. So you make yourself feel seen. And this is the wonderful thing that you can do to not push them away, to not push that ball underwater. If you just say, hey, I see you, I acknowledge that you're here, you name it. And this is pretty difficult if you have been pushing your feelings away or have been scared to feel a lot, because it becomes really difficult to name the emotions. It becomes pretty difficult to understand what it is that you're feeling, what kind of emotion that it is. But you don't have to know exactly what the emotion is. We have such a wide range of emotions. There are a lot of different things that we can feel. So just acknowledging that you feel like shit, or just acknowledge that you just feel a little bit weird and you cannot really name it, but it is there. That's something you can do as well. That works as well. Just as well as saying like, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now. I'm feeling alone right now. I'm feeling like I cannot handle the situation. It's just too much. Those are feelings that we can have, right? And so just acknowledging that is what you're feeling already takes the pressure off. This is the same when we are trying to lie about something. That feeling of lying is this really tense energy, right? There's kind of this electricity in the air when we are trying to walk around something or pretend that it's not there. And then when the truth is revealed, or we are speaking honestly about what we're actually feeling or what's actually going on, that tension disappears and we are free again. That's exactly the same what happens when you are allowing yourself to feel your emotions. It's not like you have to pretend that it isn't there. You can just say, I feel like shit today. And it's just here. I can feel it, I can see it. This is just what it is. And that's just what it is. It doesn't have to be more difficult than that. The second part, of course, is the feeling part. As you are acknowledging it, these feelings are going to be present within you, right? But they already were. And so no matter if you are pushing them away or acknowledging them, they will still be there. It's just a matter of when are you going to be brave enough to sit with them. And I say brave enough because it's pretty brave if you allow yourself to really acknowledge what's there and to just sit with it. I'm not saying it's easy. It's brave if you decide to do that. And so if you haven't for a while, just know that that's totally fine, okay as well. I'm not judging you here. I hope that you don't judge yourself while listening to me talk about this subject, because sometimes things get really heavy. Things get really scary. And we can run away from those feelings for a long time. And so, like I said, the harder that you push them away, the harder it's going to blow up or come up when you are going to sit with it. Because you know that there is a lot that you've been pushing away, right? So it's really brave of you if you are going to sit with it and acknowledge what has been going on. But it can also not be that much of a drama. I want to tell you something that I've experienced for myself and I've been taught by other people. And that is, you can acknowledge a feeling, really sit with it, like really in it, like really feeling that tense, difficult emotion. And within 20 seconds, only 20 seconds, that was 5 seconds. That's not that long. 20 seconds, it can be gone. Only 20 seconds. And those 20 seconds are going to be hard. They're not going to feel comfortable. They're not. And it's not supposed to be that way. Because the reason that you're feeling emotions is because you are caring about life, caring about yourself. You are caring about other people. And these emotions are valid. We try to make them less important because they might be difficult, but it just means that you care. And that feels really vulnerable, right? And so again, that's why it's so brave if you allow yourself to just sit with those feelings, to just name them for what they are, because they are there and that's just what it is. And there are also a lot of layers to some of these feelings, right? Especially when we have piled them up. There might be more than one emotion that needs to be felt. And so there might be more than one emotion that needs to be felt. So it might be more than 20 seconds. That is pretty normal. I would also suggest that if you are thinking about a traumatic event that happened or something that you have been suppressing because it's really scary, to ask for professional help. I'm not saying to do this on your own if you don't feel like you are ready to do that. And you can always ask for help, right? That's super normal. That's why professionals are here. No shame in that. Just feeling those things that are coming up after acknowledging them makes them more neutral. And that's the place that you want to be at. The more that we're suppressing it, the more that we stay in the same kind of state. And the moment that we make them neutral, after we have allowed them to flow through us, that's kind of how I see it. Mostly you can feel these emotions in your body, right? And as you are feeling them, it kind of feels, to me at least, like it's coming up, like that ball that you have been pushing underwater. If you acknowledge them, it's like they move up through your body and out of your body. Might not make sense, but what I like to do is to just breathe through it. And so I allow myself to just let whatever is coming up come up, because I know that it's also going. It's only coming up because it wants to be released. It wants to be acknowledged. It wants to be felt. And after I do that, it just becomes neutral. And at that neutral place, I can feel free again. I can feel like I can breathe again, right? It just kind of feels like this new beginning or this opening up of new space, because those emotions and memories take up a lot of space, right? That's why it feels so heavy if it's hard for us to move on from a certain type of situation that has happened, because we hold space for those emotions and those memories to still be there. And they can still be there, but it might also be that you're just suppressing whatever is already there. And so if you're acknowledging them by saying like, hi, I can see you, this is just what I feel, this is how I'm doing right now, and taking the time to breathe through it, to let it come up and out of your body, you create that space. And with that new space that is created, there is something else that can come from that. So you might feel different about yourself or life, and it can be like that. And so can you allow yourself to feel what is there, to just be there? Can you be your own best friend and regulate your own emotions by just acknowledging them and sitting with them? Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to create the space to sit with them, especially if it's hard for you to be alone or you try to distract yourself. It is needed to create space for you to do this, to really be honest with yourself. It's more a practice in honesty without judgment. It's more a practice of compassion, to just be like, hey, I'm feeling like this. I'm going to acknowledge it. It's just going to be here for a little bit. I'm going to feel uncomfortable, but I am going to acknowledge that I'm feeling this way, because that's kind to myself. It's there for a reason, because I care. And that's it. Because whatever is coming up is also going. It just wants to be acknowledged, and that is it. So how can you be there for yourself? How can you show up for yourself? Maybe ask yourself, how am I feeling? How am I really feeling? Or what do I need right now? Do I need to take a few deep breaths and to just sit down and just process? Do I need to write it out? Do I need to go for a run and clear my head, but also allow and accept what I'm feeling to be there? Or do I need to talk to a professional to work through it together, because I'm pretty scared to do it on my own? And that's all okay. It can all be like that. We all have our own ways to do this. I would recommend doing all of the examples that I just told you about, that, and to just feel what works the best for you. And so if there is something that you are holding onto and that is really hard to let go, it might have been a situation that is scary to let go of, or you really want to change something about your life and you know that you're holding on to something, but it's pretty hard to name it or to really tune in and process this for yourself. If you want my help to create that space and to really feel into what it is that you're feeling, and to help someone breathe through it, through those layers, to just really get down to that neutral state where you can create this new open space, know that I do one-on-one personal coaching where we can get into this. I can help you really feel through it and let it go. I will do this exact process with you, and so you can feel more freedom, more peaceful, and create this new start for yourself. If you've been feeling like you've been holding onto something that you're ready to let go, or you want to just explore what is there because you feel heavy and you're not sure, I'm there for you to guide you through it together. I can help you really step back into your power and get back to that peaceful space within you to really connect with yourself and to let some shit go. I will put the link for that somewhere in the description as well. Let me know if you have any questions about this or you want to add to this conversation. Please tag me in your stories, share this episode. I would love to see it. I would love to hear from you. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. I love to chat about this. And I wish you a beautiful rest of your day or evening.